I would have to scan everything.
No, this is good.
And so we have a quorum, right? And we're on, the TV is working? Okay, so we're ready to go. So we'll call the meeting to order here at 4:03. And we do have a quorum, so the first item of business will be the approval of the August 26, 2025 regular monthly meeting minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, are there any additions or corrections to the minutes? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, nobody was opposed. Then number 3, the CEO President's update and discussion items. The first one is the HCR Land Bank Initiative, LBI Grant Submission Property Services Open Round. So, Joe, would you like to comment on that?
Sure. So we submitted, I believe I distributed the application that we sent to HCR for their next round of LBI funds. So in this round, you were allowed to ask for up to $2 million, and we asked for the full amount. I'm expecting that the HCR board will review it sometime in early to mid-November, and hopefully we'll receive some sort of award announcement around that time as well, all things going well. They haven't reached back out with any follow-up questions, which I'm hoping is a good sign at this point. So within that grant, we're asking for 1.35 million of it, which is the lion's share of it, to cover the remaining balance of the funds needed for the projects. The 7 units were in partnership with Seneca Housing and Willard and Ovid. So that's a $3.5+ million project. That's underway right now, and this is the last puzzle piece of the funding that needs to be completely nailed down to make that move forward. There's some other things we have in there. There's money for acquisition, about $220,000 that would be available over the course of the 18-month term, and stabilization, some rehab funding in there as well. And we also have an amount of technical assistance and program delivery. So there's some program delivery in there that we're hoping to combine with some funds from the LBI operations grant to potentially hire a staff person under the umbrella of the land bank to deal with a lot of the stuff on the day-to-day. So with those things coming together, I'm hoping that coming back to the board sometime in January, February, we can discuss moving forward with trying to expand our land bank staff capacity to be able to do a good job with all these programs and things. I think the current iteration is showing strength. We've got a lot going on in the land bank. We have a lot going on in the planning department. And it's much easier to hire somebody with a land bank than it is the planning department. So I think that's the path that we're exploring here. So yeah, hopefully we get some good news in November, but until then, we're just kind of pushing forward with the projects as if the money is coming.
And Joe, and I'm very positive with the money, but when you do get the memo from the government saying, oh, we got awarded, can you just send us all an email?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, okay, all right, thank you.
For sure. And we'll go do some quick project updates. So the 7 units in Willard and Ovid, we're moving through the process right now to do construction drawings. Remember last month, the board authorized applying for a line of credit to help us fund activities for both the LBI program and for moving this development project forward. So right now, the architects are doing their construction and bid drawings, and those have costs associated with them that are part of the project budget, but will not be paid out until they're done and everything is brought together at something called a construction closing in February. So we need to pay for them up until February, where at that point, the money from the LBI and the Small Rental Development Initiative and ARPA, all the money that we have within this project will reimburse us and everything else that we spent during this time. This is a very common thing, a very common way to handle this part of the process. So we submitted an application to ESL. They got back to us with some terms and our CFO was able to review them, and it looks like it's a reasonable line of credit offer. So we're expecting to execute that and move forward with that here in the next couple of weeks and continue pushing on. So with those construction drawings, they're hopefully going to be submitting them to the codes department here in the county sometime in December. That will enable them to stay with the current version of the New York State codes. It might not matter in the long run, but they want to get under the wire just in case. And those same drawings, it's my understanding that the general contractor will be doing the bidding process for all of the subcontracts who do this work over January. You'll have a chance to see those bids and review them. And then that'll move to the construction closing in February. That gets closed and we will be good to start. So we're hoping for a start in April.
Can I say one thing?
Yeah.
Just in case anybody doesn't know, ESL is the credit union that's buying out Generations Bank. Just so everybody knows who they are. Okay.
So yeah, that seems to be going well. We get the money through LBI next month. We should be ready to roll with our Seneca housing project. I also had a chance to speak with Supervisor Forrest. Previously, I had brought up the possibility of trying to contribute something back to the town or the village through the financing of this project. Because Seneca Housing is a housing charity, nonprofit, you don't have to pay property taxes. And because it's affordable housing, even though it's not the lowest of the low, it's still pretty tight in the cost and revenue area, that there's not a lot of money to go around. But we did devise a way that we could contribute something kind of on an annual basis. And I reached out to Supervisor Forrest to see if the town would be interested in actually doing that. And it's my understanding that you had a conversation.
I did. The board thinks the project is good enough on its own. They really would rather the money stay here and not come in. For what little bit we would see, they think it's just more beneficial just to opt out and let the project move forward and have the project benefit the community.
Well, thank you. And I think Seneca Housing thanks you, because it was going to be an amount of administrative work on their end to give you, I don't know, maybe $2,000 a year or something like that. So.
And it's work on our end too to figure out where to put it and report it. And it's just, you know.
So we have an attorney meeting coming up, I think.
Yeah, just really cleared that agenda up.
Yeah. And I think this was also valuable because we're learning a lot, and now we know there might be a way to do, like, we need something to have money come out of it, even if it's a little bit, we have a way to do it.
Yeah, if it was a much larger amount, I think it'd be different, but just being
Oh, yeah.
that it was just a little bit, we just didn't think it was worth it. But if it was $100,000, they might think a little differently, but.
Yeah. So yeah, that's that. 55 Washington, 17 South Walnut Street. These are our FLACR projects. So FLACR was awarded. I don't know if they've received an award letter yet, but I will distribute it to the board when I do get it, from the Office of Temporary and Disability Assistance. They received their $2.5 million grant for the apartments, the supportive housing units at 55 Washington Street and 17 South Walnut. This one's nice because once they're all set with their grant and they have their contracts and their money all in order, they submit a purchase offer to us and we sell it to them and then they build it. So unlike Seneca Housing where we're with them in the long haul to figure everything out, we're not working through the whole process with Fleck. They have a perfectly capable development and management team to take it forward from this point. So the purchase offer will be for the value of the land, and we're gonna have some new units going up in the village. So, yeah. The state also invited myself and a representative from the Center for Community Progress that authored a report on temporary housing for the Land Bank Association to their regional meeting for the Office of Temporary Disability and Assistance. It seems that we were the first folks to use the LBI money to pre-develop and push forward supportive housing. And it appears that the state likes that now, and they wanted to showcase it for other entities to see if they had local land banks that would be willing to work with them on a project like this. So that was neat. Went up to their conference room and sat on a panel much like this and had a conversation. So that one's moving forward. Brownfields. The county has a grant with the EPA. The government's currently shut down, and we're working on figuring out what the next steps are going to be. Eventually, we're going to be releasing an RFP from the county to hire a environmental consultant that will do a whole bunch of phase 1s and phase 2s, site assessments for any site in the county that could potentially be a brownfield, as well as an amount of planning for remediation or any other type of project that would be on a brownfield property. And this would be very beneficial for things like our bowling alley dry cleaner situation, the litany of gas stations along 5 and 20 and 414, sites in Ovid, a substantial site in Willard, and a bunch of other spots around the county. So that's a $1.5 million program we're hoping to actually get up and running in 2026 sometime. And with that, I'm also hoping sometime early next year, we can revive the conversation about bowling alley dry cleaner property here that we're needing to figure out what to do with the village and with the land bank and the property owner there. That would be a brownfield tax credit project if one were to be put together. And we're going to be going through the budget today for next year and the projections. And we're needing to figure out where our next batch of projects is going to be to continue to bring revenue in. And the bigger the project, the more money there could be available. So the dry cleaner bowling alley situation might be our best chance to bring enough money in to kind of keep the current pace and the current level of programming going. So.
Hey, Joe. Actually, I had somebody from DEC call me last week and I referred them to you too.
Oh.
With your phone numbers, I don't know if he called you or not.
He did not. Who was it?
I can't remember his name. He worked for, I think it was about the Ovid Street, the old gas station there. He had questions on.
Oh, Road?
Yeah. I don't know if he ever called you, but I believe that he was going to us.
Yeah.
Told him that you two would have more information.
So we have that agreement.
Yeah, that, I don't know why I didn't call you then. It sounded like he was going to.
So Wayne County is a little bit ahead of us where during a little bit more functional era of state and federal government, they got their agreement in place and they got their EPA brownfield money in place. And they use their EPA brownfield money to foreclose on properties like the Waterloo gas station, assess them and clean them up with the EPA money, move them through the land bank with the agreement, figure all the liens, and then sell them to be developed. They've done it with a bunch of sites. And we're trying very hard to set up a very similar system here. But we just keep getting stymied.
people across the street have wanted that property for years.
Yeah, and so there's an outlet. Like, we know we just need to figure out how to legally get it to them in a way that the DEC approves of and allows them to not get stuck with a lien or us to get stuck with a lien.
Well, he's assigned to it, because I was talking about it. He said he is assigned, whichever one I talked to, he said he's assigned to that property, so they do have somebody assigned to it, which is good.
That's progress.
Exactly.
All right. Housing strategy. We have a draft housing strategy. I believe I included a link to it in the email and possibly a PDF. So this is a project of the county planning department. It's not land bank specific, but I think it does speak to a lot of the work that we do and are trying to do. And we're going to be doing outreach with a bunch of different groups and villages and towns and organizations throughout the next couple of weeks to make sure this is on folks' radar. The strategy goes through a lot of different information and basically hones in that right now the county is not competing for housing investment at both the developer and household level very well regionally, and is hoping to lead us in a way that makes us a better place to invest. We can get the housing outcomes that we need. And that kind of tracks with what we work with through the land bank. Is often we talk about gaps and that projects can't come together. And the moral of the story is that folks don't have the incomes around here to pay for or finance development, whether it be a single family house or an apartment building or it be without significant state support. And that significant state support really only comes in the form of income qualified housing, which I do think that we need, and we're producing an amount of it, but we're not sufficiently attracting middle income families that provide kind of the economic backbone for a lot of other communities. And to retain that type of family, to attract them, we're needing to think differently about how we make these investments. So definitely way more information than that rundown in the strategy, but I'm hoping you all can take a look at over the next couple of weeks. Reach out with any questions, and I'll probably see you at other meetings with a presentation. And if you would like a presentation as the land bank, I can arrange that as well. But just wanted to make sure that was on all of your radars here over the next couple of months. And the last thing is the Lodi Food Pantry. Their board reached out. I'm not sure what's going on with them in the town, but it sounds like they may be in the market, but maybe not be in the market for a location. We do have a spot in the village down West Second Street going towards Interlaken. That could work if they want to move forward. So if they're able to put together the resources and still have the desire to work in the land bank on a site, I think that's the only one we would really ever have. But they're not quite ready to move forward with anything right now, so just gonna put it on the table and see what happens with them, or maybe not, I don't know. But yeah, I think especially with the Big M not existing anymore, the food access issues for the southern part of the county are a big deal right now, and making sure that they are able to operate in some way, someplace, could be a good thing. So if they need the spot, we could potentially have it for them, but I don't think they're quite needing it yet. All right, that's it.
Well, thank you very much, Joe, and congratulations on being the chief speaker at that forum.
I was not the chief speaker.
But over your,
Well, your idea.
I showed up late and left early.
All righty.
yeah.
So we do have a couple resolutions. The first one is the 25-26 annual budget. We're like any other operation, we gotta have a budget, and I believe Joe is going to walk us through it, but how would you like to do it? Would you like to, do the motion before you hear the budget or after we hear the budget? Mostly the board of supervisors, don't you guys like vote on the budget after you hear about it?
So we would have a motion in a second and open it for discussion.
Okay, okay, we can do the same thing here, all right. So, we've got the resolution here, let's see, number 25-26. Okay, so is there a motion to adopt the 2026 annual budget and projections? Resolution 25-26.
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, so now Joe go over it and then can ask questions and whatever.
All right, so we are required to do an annual budget every year, and then along with that annual budget, make up projections for 3 years beyond that. So the budget for 2026, this is the most important document or piece of this. So it shows our new LBI operations grant coming in for $100,000. They standardize that, so it's a new contract every year and will continue to roll, so it'll be 100,000 kind of a little bit more effectively and consistently. And I've also included 1,795,000 of the 2 million LBI grant that we're expecting in 2026. We also have the real estate proceeds from the Flacker and SHI projects we're expecting to come in, and then the handful of declining CDBG transfers from the county and from the town of Romulus. So those are our revenue sources. I've split up the LBI funding through the real estate acquisition, stabilization, pre-development, and new construction in the cost of goods sold, and also included 90,000 for a director of operations for salary and fringe in the expenses. So all of that would be covered by grant. And we end up at the end of the year accounting for everything with a net operating income. So this is the revenue earned throughout that time that is unrestricted that we will keep of 23,000. We should be rolling in into next year with about $70,000 to $80,000 in the bank already as kind of a general fund. So that's an amount that, based on what we're doing right now and what we're expecting to do, I think that's a good reasonable amount to be having revenue for next year. Then we get into the projections, and the first 2027 projection, I set this up in a way that accounts for limited real estate proceeds and no co-development agreement proceeds, and only the half year of the LBI. It's kind of a worst case scenario where even with a staff person, we're down in the hole at the end of the year with a net operating income of negative 17,250. This is kind of a worst case scenario thing. I don't know. I would expect it would play out differently, but it might not. And I just wanted to start with this and the projection side to kind of show why having a little bit bigger, larger involved project like a bowling alley dry cleaner or a 19 locust street or something else that could drive the revenue up. Because if you go to 2028, we've got our grant bag at 1.5 million, real estate proceeds at 50,000 and co-development agreements at 50,000 with the same level of activity rolling through, and then a net of 48,444 at the end of the year. So it's keeps us really in the black to have a slightly larger, more involved set of projects going on that is able to generate $50,000 to $100,000 a year. If we have the consistent support from the LBI program from the state. That's kind of what we've built with the planning department, utilizing my time as CEO president, hosted by the planning department to build. But now we're kind of trying to figure out how to maintain like this level of work over the long haul, which I think A, requires a staff person to keep it going, and then B, requires a high level of project to continue. So that is the budget.
2029?
That was the last of the best projections.
Okay. Very good. So, does anybody have any, obviously, 2026 is approaching first. Does anybody have any questions on the 2026 budget for the land bank? Okay. Are there any of the other budgets here that are projecting? Anybody have any questions on any of those? I just have one question. So if we operate 1 year in the black, or in the red here, the 17,250, that's not gonna cause a problem, right? We have a line of credit if we needed money, or?
Yeah, so we're carrying over from this year, I'm estimating about 70,000 to 80,000. We have more in the bank account than that.
Yeah, we got 80,000.
Things are gonna be coming out.
Okay.
At the end of the day, 70,000 to 80,000 we should roughly have, just in reserve.
Okay, in reserve, all right, very good.
In our general account,
Okay.
I'm using reserve
Oh, so-
loosely. In our bank account.
We'll really be in the black 60,000.
Right, so we're not gonna
Okay.
like close our doors or owe anybody money at the end of the year. We're just holding down that amount.
All right.
Figuring out how to run the program at a level where we're doing big enough projects that can actually create an amount of revenue to sustain the thing. That's kind of what I was trying to game out and what that might look like over the next 3 years.
Okay, great. Is there any other questions? Okay, so we do have a motion on resolution 2526 and a second. So if there isn't any more discussion, we could actually have the vote. So all those in favor of the resolution 2526 with our projected budget for 2026 and the required looking forward for 3 years, is everybody in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay, well, that passed. Thanks for the explanation, Joe. And we're going to go to 2527. We're going to establish the 2026 Land Bank Board of Directors regular meeting schedule. So here it is, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so just taking a quick peek here. Okay, so do we have a motion for the new schedule?
So moved.
Second.
Second. And so is there any discussion? Still gonna do the 4 o'clock, right? 4th Tuesday? Okay, so all those in favor of the new schedule for next year, say aye. Anybody opposed? All right, well, that carries. Very good. We're on track for another year. And the next item on the agenda is number 5, and we can hear from our attorney, Esther, if he has anything he'd like to add.
Sure, I think the only thing I'd add is that we should be hopefully closing on 4 Seneca Lane maybe before the next meeting. So 4 Seneca Lane's in Seneca Falls, and that's a donation from the Presbyterian Church, and that's been cleared through the proper channels, and so now it's a matter of getting the title work done, just getting us to closing. So I'm hoping, since that happened 2 weeks ago, that the order title would be ready to post for CDL. And then the plan is to stabilize that on that one?
Yep.
So, and it's insured already anyway.
Yep.
So it's really ready to go at the point that we take it.
And we've had a phase one done. That was, we've learned that when a church sells, gives,
They own the property and want to transfer.
transfer it, that the transfer needs to be approved by the state attorney general's office. That took some time.
Yeah, I think, right, if they hadn't taken the property into if they had never taken titles to the property, instead like brokered some deal for the land bank to get it, or paid for it or something, then you did that, I don't know if that's the same process, but it came to us at their closing, they'd already owned it, and there's no, once they own it, it's gotta go through the right process.
Same when you mortgage it. When they mortgage it.
So, yeah, we've been pressing forward as if we had it's escaping me the term, a pre-possession agreement
Yes,
to access the property, and we've done phase one, we've done asbestos and lead surveys, and we've had a initial engineer architectural review of the property. We are figuring out how to get it stabilized and then rehabbed for use eventually with Seneca housing, which was the intention of the Presbyterian Church. So that one's underway as well. And we have an amount of money in the next grant application to fund it, just not quite enough to finish it, so we'll figure out how to do it. But we got enough to get it stabilized at least.
Anything else?
that's it.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Sure.
And next, we're gonna hear from Michael, our CFO and treasurer.
Thank you. So the first page on your packet is a balance sheet comparison. I compare an awful lot to last month as opposed to last year, just so that we can kind of reconcile what we've done with our cash over the previous period. Actually, the general ledger or general checking account is up about $33,000, and that's really I believe LBI, I believe that's phase two feeding that. It really before we celebrate, it's really a reimbursement for funds already spent, but it brought us back up to where we've been holding for quite some time now, portion of the year. Much of what you see as of September 30th, 2025 in that left-hand most column is very much the same as what you saw at the last meeting. The Seneca Lane has found its way to this form already, so there's $48,000 listed under other current assets, and that's what we're going to carry the Seneca Lane house at. As I mentioned before, something that Joe mentioned to me earlier today actually is that phase two is going to be phased out, so we're seeing all the funds being dispersed and that's being emptied out. Let's see. Going on to the balance sheet on the second page, I'm sorry, it's the third page, you get a good, let me take a moment here and just say you did spend money this past month. There was some expenses, and I just want to be able to say what those were, just to have it on the record. Norcat Tree Service, about $4,800. We run some notices in the Finger Lakes Times, it's $37.44. We had $3,500 in legal and professional fees with Hancock and Heaton and Benuti and Flowers, our CPA. You weren't expecting a $48,000 donated property, so you're having some expenses there that maybe you weren't expecting when we get to the budget. Atlantic Testing, that's related to Washington Street That's your compression in your ground, about $561. And then they had to monitor the air for lead as it was being torn down. You spent $3,900 on that. So that's all pretty clear. Going to the third page again now, back to the balance sheet. You can see that, I mentioned that the checking accounts back up to 119,000. It had dropped down for a few months in the summer, but we're back up to where we were through the early part of the year. And then, of course, the property inventory showing about a third of the way down, line 14000 shows that $48,000 gain from the donated property. At the bottom, your liabilities are somewhat flat. I wouldn't say they don't move, but your equity holds around the mid 260s, and your total liabilities hang in the 60s. I mean, they peaked at 80 early in the year, but you're staying in the 60s, so it's hasn't been volatile this year. The next page is the budget. We'll spend a little bit more time with that one. The budget versus the actual. I think the first thing I'd like to point out is that when you're in the third column from the left or the second from the right, however you want to look at that, when you look at total income and you're seeing a minus $670,491.78, before you panic, go down to total cost of goods sold and take a look at, you have a drop in what you expected, a cost of goods sold by $652,550.87. So no, there wasn't maybe some of the funding and activity that you expected in this portion of the year, but you didn't spend the money that you were expecting to spend too. It is a loss when compared to the budget, and we'll get into that a little bit more later. Going back up to the top though, like you didn't have the sale of property like you did last year. You had a $70,000 sale last year. You had about $1,500 this year. You didn't get the CDBG income that you were expecting. Obviously, you did get a donated property that nobody planned for. The demolition, without a large sum of purchases, you didn't spend $175,000 on demolition. You only spent $49,000, so that's a significant difference. And things like your legal and professional are higher. I think we've run into some things this year that just were a little bit more unexpected, and we've moved ahead with them, obviously. So that's kind of a little bit out of line. Going on to the profit and loss comparison. The habitat income that was last year for $80,000, that's line 41001. Let's remember that is a one-time thing that happened, and when you remove that, they're pretty darn close. Obviously, the donated property kind of shores up some things compared to last year where there was something like a habitat sale. We had to demolish a property that had been on our books for a while during this year. And also, again, the legal and professional shows up, but you're receiving donated properties and you're demolishing properties in today's day and age, you're going to spend a little bit. But generally speaking, I think those explain any differences that you might see in there. Here we are with breaking it out per each department. I don't usually spend a lot of time on this. If there's any questions, it's kind of just another way to slice it up. Final page is your profit and loss by month. You're in the black this month. And in the red all year. All right. We made money in September. So that's your first, and that brought you right out of the hole. So, I think we're on track for some things with a couple of the properties that we've worked on this year, and on one that was a little bit unexpected already. So thank you, Attorney.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the treasurer's report?
Motion.
Second. Is there any questions or comments? I want to comment. Thank you, Michael, for doing all that work. It's a lot of work there. It really is.
No, that's not all.
And, we certainly appreciate what you're doing.
I wish I could make it more exciting.
Okay, so Now, it's tough to get a good treasurer, right?
Right.
We got one right here. So all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, nobody opposed. Very good. Is there any new business you'd like to speak about, Joe? And then we can open it up to the floor if there's anybody have any new business.
I have no new business.
Give you the first crack. Does anybody have any new business that they want to talk about? Okay. How about, we don't have an executive session, do we?
Nope.
Okay. So the last thing on the schedule is the adjournment. So all those in favor of adjourning the meeting till next time, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? We'll see you next month, which will be
Tuesday, November 25th.
Joe, bring a turkey, will you?
I'm not volunteering for that. What is it, Caitlin?
Tuesday, November 25th.